Well, damn, Lamar. You had the chance, and once again, that shit flew out like a raven. Like, whoo! I was like, not only Lamar, but I was like the Ravens, Raven. That pretty much is how that is gonna be our whole story now. Lamar, I was like, the numbers will probably end up looking all right, but once you sort of watch the game, it wasn't really good at all. I was like, they all put themselves all in the hole, and I was like, it ain't just on Lamar, but it's a good add portion on Lamar just because those first two turnovers, even if they didn't get points off of like the interception and whatnot, it still basically set y'all up for a hole or whatever. Especially for the fact that y'all like to run the ball, and while it didn't take it out of the equation, it did put it into more of a dire situation that we sort of seen as the game got close. Uh, I was like, I think the defense did a pretty good job considering the fact that the Bills weren't doing any damn thing either. Uh, Josh Allen did. Josh Allen played okay. You're gonna hear everybody talk about like he played really good, or how Romo was just over here on Lamar. I mean, on Josh Allen so much that I was like, I thought that was his son. But the Bills played the game. I felt like in a way that the Ravens once again should have played the game, where it's like, yes, I do understand that they were stopping the hell out of Derrick Henry at the very beginning of the game. Like they were stuffing the hell out of him to where it's like, yeah, I do understand that Lamar did have to pass or whatever. But and I was like, that first interception, that is really some kind of miscommunication or whatever. The fumble, that I was like, I think that was, I was like that. It's one of them things that it's one of these things that's like the turnovers. If it would have happened to anybody else, would have just you could just be like, oh, this just happens. That just happens. He was trying to make the play with the fumble, thought he'd get away. He was loose with the ball. If it had been like necessarily like Josh Allen, I don't think we would have really. But I was like, it's Lamar. You got a narrative. You got a story with your stuff of how you play in these playoff games and everything like that. That look, it just tied to you. It just tied to you. No difference than if Jameis Winston, I was like when he throw three interceptions. With somebody else, we might not really pick on it that badly, but it's Jameis Winston, so therefore you're the interception guy. It's gonna look a lot look a lot worse. Um, I like the game overall. I thought it was actually considering the conditions and stuff like that. I think they play. I was like, I think both teams played the game that we sort of expected to them. Timely throws and trying to run the ball, whether it be with your running back. You know, Derrick Henry got going later on in the second half, and James Cook was also being ideal, along with a mix of Davis and uh, not Dave, yeah, Davis and Ty Johnson. Justin Hill also played really well as in the game, but and this wasn't. And I was like, this wasn't going to. It looked like it at the beginning. It looked like it was about to just be a high scoring game, almost like what we got in the Eagles and the Rams game. But I think the conditions just made it where it was just like it basically was going to be like who created the turnovers, and the Ravens just had too many on their plate. Mark Andrews with his fumble that could have probably got to that probably would have set them up a lot better. Him dropping the ball on a 2 point conversion when it was right in his hands, and like the person that you probably would have wanted to get it out the get catch the ball the most was him, and him dropping it. Um, yeah, no, I think this is pretty much just once again, unlike unlike a couple of the other teams that were playing, this is just something with the Ravens where it's just like, hey, this is y'all narrative where it's like, hey, y'all Ravens Raven. You know, like we say sometimes with the Chargers. I was like, there's just certain teams, and it's just like that's just sort of what y'all are at the point to where it's like, hey, going next season, whether Lamar wins his third MVP or not, nobody's gonna care. Nobody, it's not gonna matter. You're at that point. of like your career. This team is at the same spot that it's at, that you're just not gonna care. Same thing with like the Steelers, where it's like, oh, y'all keep getting the playoffs and get bounced out in the first round. While to other teams that might seem like an accomplishment, but when it's with the Steelers and the narrative that comes with the Steelers, that don't mean shit. So yeah, I was like, I was like, I didn't get to do like any predictions before about this with this game or whatever like that. If I was like, if you would have asked me before, I would have been like, oh, my heart's like Lamar, but my brain said Josh Allen. Didn't really matter really with as far as the game went, because I was like, they made sure that Josh Allen didn't do anything that was going to jeopardize their team. To be honest, that's why I said, I was like, if you go out here and be like, he was like, no, Josh Allen played fine. He played, did not screw up the game. Lamar, I was like, not going to get that benefit of the doubt. So yeah, I was like, I don't even know what to really necessarily say anymore about it. I was like, I do think that the narrative of the Ravens got like such a big team compared to the Bills, I think that did play into it because you've seen they play with a different intensity. But they are, to me, they was really close. I feel like we just didn't give Buffalo defense the credit as much. And I was like really until like leading up till about the game where it was like these people are returning. Milano, Rap, even though he went out with an injury early on and stuff. Um, that we didn't really give him the benefit of everything. But especially in this kind of game, nah, it was gonna be I think with the teams already being as close as they was, the conditions made it even more close. Um, but I will say, see, I was like, I'm not done with Lamar. I was still back Lamar, whatever, just because the I was like how he gets talked about, especially versus Josh Allen, which I was just this is a game basically that's gonna be like, ooh, if you don't really realize outside of being like fans of each team of the difference of like, oh, how it's going to be talked about, of the differences of the split divisions of America, kind of thing. Then I was like, I felt like it was on Showcase basically that it's like Lamar basically was getting all the he ain't even MVP on his team. Look, he got Derrick Henry. I was like, look at Derrick Henry. When it's like, yeah, but Josh Allen also got James Cook, and I was like, that's discrediting James Cook play that he's being like a really good running back as well. Josh Allen over here, I mean Lamar not a bastard, and I was like, yeah, he threw it was like a couple balls that were erratic of like sell. That's what his thing is. Almost like Cam Newton, where he would just overthrow balls sometimes. But at the same time, Josh Allen just was being big and running the ball, and I was like, to one guy that's a detriment to this guy. I was like, it's like, oh, look what he can do. But anyway, either way, whoever won the game was going to go against the Chiefs, and that's another challenge in and of itself because now Josh Allen's narrative is basically, can he get over that hump that is the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to have to see how that plays out. But I remember some people sort of feeling like this seems like it's Josh Allen's year. It just feels like it, and I was like, maybe so. I was like, I do think that the lower expectations does sort of work in their benefit. But speaking of, because I was like, God, we had other games. I'm gonna go straight to the Chiefs. Them getting by the Texans. I was like, that game was even closer than I think, even if the score of only being down. I think it was like 20-13 or something like that. I do think those two calls. I don't think that calls in a game really dictate like the game in of itself, like where it's just like, oh, that one penalty or whatever in the very beginning of the game messed up how the rest of the game was or whatever. The most I have people say these plays don't tell the whole story of the game to where a team lost or whatever. But just like the Ravens, where it's like those two turnovers did, because they did mess up the flow, how that game was looking like it was going. I do feel like those penalties did mess up, where it was like those two penalties basically would have got the Chiefs off the field which would have gave them like look, it could have still been the same result. I was like the Chiefs could have still won, but you got more shots and more opportunity to score and to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. But I was like, but the Chiefs basically did the same thing they've been doing, where it was just like it was just Travis Kelsey, and we just go get by, and we're just gonna figure out how to basically put y'all in a situation where you have to try to figure out how to score and how to play. And that's what they came up with. I was like, CJ Stroud was getting so beat the hell up from the offensive line that it's like it was even more of it's a more testament to the fact that they was able to even really score and actually do anything the way that they were just getting hammered that whole time on the offensive side by the defense of the Chiefs uh, during that game. So they are playing the Bills, and we always know that those games also always come down to the wire. So we'll see how that one goes. Uh, Jayden Daniels and Detroit Lions. Woo! I was like, once again, if I would have made my prediction, I would have been like, the Detroit Lions are going to win. But I would have still said, like how I changed it against the Bucks, I'd have been like, but I believe in some Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels. And that dude, I was like, we gotta we gotta get him a nickname or something like that. Like he got the little like the ice in the veins, the stoic. Like I don't know. I was like, look, I ain't about to come up with nicknames. Everybody else can try to do that, but he's going to have to. I was like, I did like people saying like he's him the Slim Reaper, even though that's like KD's nickname, but KD's never adopted that nickname. So clearly, let's give that one to Daniels because at the last seconds, he will take out all of your hope if need be. And Jared Goff went full golf. And like if you watch Tropic Thunder, you don't ever go full. You don't ever go full. I was like, and that's what that dude did. I was like, I was like, if the team goes down, I feel like a lot of times you got to really look at him, mainly because they can score and they're so potent that it's like if something does happen, you might want to look at Golf in this situation. Uh, I was like, almost like the Ravens, where like if something happened with the Ravens because Lamar not playing well, whereas like with the Bills, they can get by so a lot of times that Josh Allen doesn't really play well, or the Chiefs at the same time, and that was real like Detroit was in a heartbreaking situation because you felt it, because it was like unlike all the other games that sort of came down to oh man, we just need to complete this drive, or we got a chance to get back in the game. Or you you felt it fleeting fast and hard, and it's just like you seen it on them dudes' faces. Even when they was sort of ish in the game, you could just see all their faces where they was having like real tears in their eyes because they just knew this ain't happening. This miracle season or whatever, trying to overcome all the injuries, just ain't gonna happen. And last but not least, Eagles and the Rams. I was like, it was a really fun game because I was like, one, the elements, unlike the Bills and the Ravens, is that we got to see in real time the progress of the elements with it and how it changed the game, but not really. Because I was like, the Eagles were still going to come out and run the ball like crazy, and Saquon was blowing their doors off. But to see also how the Rams were able to stick in the game, I was like, their defense kept up coming up timely, and the offense just could never really get consistent with any of their plays, whether it was just like catching the ball or they would. I was like, even when Stafford would have a good pocket, I was like it'll still break down or whatever. You got them dead tired by the end of it, and they still make one or two plays to basically just change how it was at the end. But those two field goal miss, I mean those extra point miss, almost gave the Rams a chance. Where the Rams, they would have scored, a different ball game. Uh, I will say that I was like I have been a Matthew Stafford, I won't say hater, but once again it's one of them things where like the media and all that other stuff talks about players in a way that's kind of like where it's like that the balance isn't there in a lot of places. But I will say, I was like Stafford's that dude. I was like, yeah, it took him to the Rams. I was like, I totally dismiss anything you want to bring up with the Lions about him. But I was like, nah, that dude gritty, being able to throw the ball and stuff like that. That his arm talent never has gone away, but he basically has kept him in the game, even when Kyron Williams fumbled the ball and you thinking that it's over and stuff. The Eagle will be a tough out, but they played against the Commanders, who they both split. And while you would say it should be a pretty winnable game for the Eagles, you just don't know how that boy Daniels is going to play. Uh, but yeah, no, I was like, all the games were really entertaining to be honest, because it's like they at least all. Except I was like, because I was like, at least with Detroit and the Commanders, I was like, it was really more the spectacle that the Commanders were just throwing the ball and just playing play it crisp. With Ecker and Thompson, I mean Robinson, who had like they haven't been able to run the ball, but they was able to run the ball that day. Uh, and all the games either came like even the teams were down, they still had a chance to win, and so that made the game a lot more interesting. But yeah, Lamar, woo, get ready for another off season of you suck. Basically, I was like, I won't go that far, but I already know how the narrative's about to be. You get the MVP that's going to just add another heap pile in the trash on top of you. And I want to say the Ravens in general, even though the defense played particularly well or whatever. Even though I'm like they just run the ball and they really couldn't stop Allen, big ass running through or whatever. But anyway, let me know how y'all felt about the games. Y'all enjoy them and whatnot. Till then, I guess we'll see how this all this leading up to see who gets to go to the Super Bowl. Till then, peace. I'm out.